Okay, so we all knew it was gonna happen sooner or later. We've been producing these home brews for quite a while and never done one myself. So hello my friends, my name is Gedde and today we're gonna go over my home brew, which is my Frankenstein AR built in-house here at GFL. So throughout my career in working here and being a part of the firearms industry, I've handled and shot a lot of things, a lot of custom builds, and none of them exactly lined up with what I wanted out of a gun, both performance-wise and comfort-wise, until we put together this one for me. So while this one is an AR-15 and there's a whole lot of those out there in the world, as cliche as it is, this one is mine. And I built it to my specifications, which is kind of the cool thing about building your own. So to not waste any more time, let's get the gear talk out of the way so we can talk about why I built this gun. That's the fun part for me. So starting with the suppressor, I went with the Dead Air Sandman S. It's my favorite can if you ask anybody. I preach on these cans really heavily, mainly because of the mounting system. I'm a big fan of the chemo mount, as well as the modularity on the can. I love the fact that I have the option of changing out the end cap for something like an e-brake, like what's on Mike's Scar and stuff like that. Although I haven't done it to mine yet, that's just because I haven't bought one. Underneath, I chose the flash hider to be pin and weld onto my 13.7 TRIARC barrel. The barrel is incredible. I've had wonderful luck out of this thing. That's being held by a Knight's Armament rail on the front, and big testament and thank you to the gunsmiths for installing that Knight's rail, because anybody who's ever tried to remove one, that castle nut is not your friend. It took 3 sets of hands and 4 hammers to get that thing on, and now that it's on, it's gonna stay there for life because this thing's rock solid and it's quite literally bomb-proof. For the flashlight, I had a Surefire dual fuel that I went ahead and put a Modlite OKW head on because I wanted the power of the sun, and now I have it. The cool thing about the dual fuel is I can choose whether to use a 18650 or the CR123s. Right now I've got CR123s in it, and even with the smaller batteries, it still projects a lightsaber up into the sky, and it's pretty awesome. I've gotten confirmed hits out at Scott's property at nighttime at around 300 yards, and for nighttime shooting, that's pretty doggone good. That one is run through a DS00 tail cap, which both has the button for manual activation as well as my Surefire single pad activation switch. I chose this one because I don't have a laser unit on this gun. I don't own night vision yet. That's coming. And when that day comes, I'll swap this out for like a Unity 2-button setup or something like that, but we're not quite there yet. I chose Slate Black Industries for the rail covers grips, as well as the vertical grip. I just like their product. I think the texture feels great and it stays put in my hand when I get a good grip on it. And I like that the foregrip isn't massive. It's something there that's just there as an index, so I know where my grip is on the rail. Now let's talk about the optics. Literally yesterday, before today's filming, I installed this MRO on a Reptilla 193 mount because I wanted to really push this gun into more of a performance line speed gun. So I really wanted the dot on there. For those of you who don't know, we host a rifle match every Monday, and I'm looking to get more involved in that here in the future. And before, I had a 1:8 Credo on there with the RMR on the 1 o'clock sitting in a Unity riser. Everything was purchased here. And that Credo is a wonderful scope. I'm a big fan of it. And as far as LPVOs go, the functionality of being able to zoom in, to be precise, and zoom out and run it like a red dot is 100% there and it's valid, but nothing beats a red dot when it comes to speed. I'm a big fan of red dots. Anybody who watches our pistol stuff, you know that I will preach red dot pistol until the day I pass. And the dot on the rifle, all the benefits are there as well when we're talking about speed shooting. Specifically, I chose the MRO because I really like the window. I love the glass, and it's a big window for a red dot. And the dot itself is very crisp and clear, and the adjustments made zeroing it very, very easy. They're half-minute adjustments, and this morning, Mike and I got this thing zeroed in 15 rounds, and we know it's good to go, so I'm a big fan of that. The Reptilla mount for the 193, I chose that because it's super solid and it holds it higher, so I don't have to move my head when I'm shouldering the rifle. When it comes up where my eyes are on my target, I get to keep them there. I don't have to move my head very much to get behind the gun, which I really appreciate. Moving back slightly, you're gonna see when I do put the LPVO back on this gun, if we're going out to the ranch or something like that, I have a Knight's Armament bubble level on the rear end. Bubble levels are important when you're shooting with an LPVO because having a couple degrees of cant in the rifle can make you have a hard day when you're trying to push out for distance. For the charging handle, I went with a RADIAN Raptor SD. I like the SD because it's got the vents in the top to where it breaks up some of the gas, so the gun's not super gassy. Talk to anybody who shoots suppressed ARs and they always complain about the gas. And yes, there is some gas in this gun. There's nothing I can do to alleviate all of it, but this is an excellent step in making it more bearable. So for the upper and lower receiver, I went with BCM. Bravo company. I like their stuff. They're incredibly consistent. I've never had a quality control issue out of anything of theirs that I've sold through GFL. And I also went with them for the bolt carrier as well. This gun has a lot of rounds through it. I can't even make a guess. I would probably put it somewhere close to 10,000 rounds between classes, between teaching with it, between letting students borrow it when their gun goes down. This gun gets shot a lot. It's also used for demo purposes. When I bring it into the range, if somebody sees this, they want to shoot a Sandman. If it's on the shelf back there, y'all welcome to rent it and try it if you want. I've got no problem with that. Just below that, you're going to find a set of RADIAN 45-degree selectors. I'm a big fan of ambi selectors because running the rifle left or right-handed is important. We do it a lot in classes. I like the RADIAN set because it's metal, it's very defined, and you can hear it from a mile away, that thing going from safe to fire. It's very pronounced and very audible. And now when we talk about the crown jewel of most AR builds, the trigger, a lot of guys go with Geissele, and I like Geissele. I'm a big fan of their stuff, but I went with a HYPERFIRE 24C trigger. I really like the HYPERFIREs. It's a very short prep and press. It's a single stage, and it's nice and light. And even though the trigger is light, it's got 2 hammer springs that are throwing that hammer forward, so I get extremely reliable detonation. I've never had a hard primer be a problem in this gun, and that's something important to me because it also serves a slightly defensive role as well. For the buffer tube, I chose to go with a Primary Weapon Systems fluted buffer tube. I like that one because the flutes do alleviate just a little bit of weight, and frankly, I like the way it looks. And it's a mil-spec configuration, which on the rear, I have a Magpul SL series stock on there. This is also a recent change because when I had the LPVO, I had a B5 on here, but I didn't need the big fat cheek welds if I don't have an LPVO. So now the gear list is out of the way. Let's talk about shooting this thing and why I put it together. So this thing really is the definition of a jack of all trades. This rifle has, in its current configuration, can handle any problem that I need it to solve, whether it's, hey, I'm teaching a class or I'm going to a class or I'm shooting a match or anything like that. This configuration does everything I need and does it very well to a high standard. If we go out to rifle ranch and I'm out there shooting at distance, well, now I swap my red dot for my LPVO, get a 0 on it early in the morning, and this thing consistently slaps that 840 plate with a variety of different ammunition from 55 grain to 77 grain. Although the 77s perform the best, and I've had the best performance out of those, out of a lot of testing that we've done out there. And with the barrel being a 13.7 pin and weld with a mid-length gas system, it runs very soft and it's tuned properly. Thank you, gunsmiths. You guys did a baller job knocking this thing out. Very appreciative to how well this gun runs. And I almost forgot, the very key component to your rifle build is your sling, and I'm using a 2-point sling from Blue Force Gear. I like their sling. I like the quick tab because I can make adjustments very quickly. And when I have it cinched down nice and tight, it stays close to my body, I'm hands-free. Or I can pass it to my back and it stays put if I need to do something long-term with my hands. So really, when I boil this thing down, this build is really an amalgamation of everything I've learned and everything that's brought me to this point in my career in the firearms industry. This is a research and development project, something that the more I learn, I'll constantly keep changing things because something may be better for what I do and I haven't found it yet. But for now, this is a wonderful thing and I've been a big fan of it. My fiance, who's 4'9", 100 pounds, she shoots this gun just fine. Every student I've put this in, they can adjust the stock to their length of pole, and Bob's your uncle, the gun shoots wonderfully. I can't speak highly enough to the craftsmanship that went into putting this thing together, which the majority of that really does go to the gunsmiths. They've done a fantastic job here. I can't thank those guys enough. They're awesome. And yeah, it's a little bit shorter and sweeter than the other homebrews, but this one is mine, and I hope that it illuminates a little bit of information as far as what went into these particular parts and why I chose them. If you have any questions or if you have any comments or anything, drop them in the comment section. And if you guys would like any advice on your rifle build or get steered into something for yourself, we can always help you with that as well. If you have any questions, reach out to the link tree or the website, and y'all be safe. I'll see you next time.